Hey, it's Mark Gordon here, and it is great to be back in the office. Over the last couple of weeks, I've had the chance to share stages across the country with tons of amazing speakers and speak to some wonderful organizations about giving better customer experiences. And one thing I've noticed about so many of these speakers is they all do this kind of interesting thing. Maybe you've done it if you're a speaker, maybe you've seen it happen if you're in the audience. They all ask questions. Some of them ask a lot of questions, some of them a few questions. But one thing I've noticed all of these questions have in common is the response they get from the audience. And let's just call that lackluster. And I've come to realize there are really only two types of questions a speaker can ask: silly ones and stupid ones. Stupid questions are ones that are so plainly obvious they're not even worth asking. Raise your hands if you'd like more free time. Who here would like less stress in their lives? I mean, what kind of responses are these speakers looking for from the audience? I mean, can you imagine asking a question like, who here would like to make more money? Sir, I noticed you didn't put up your hand. Don't you want to make more money? Make more money and put myself into a higher tax bracket and pay more taxes? No, thank you. That will never happen, and that's why these are what I believe to be stupid questions. There's no need to ask them. You know what the answer is going to be, and that's a big reason why you don't get a lot of engagement or response from the audience, because nobody's going to bother putting up their hand to answer an obviously stupid question. Which then brings us to silly questions. And silly questions are where speakers try to ask something really profound and interesting. They actually try to do some form of data gathering to gauge the audience or perhaps add something interesting to their presentation. The problem is that, well, they shouldn't be doing it. This is not the time to be gathering information. Just to give you an example, some of the silly questions I hear are, how many of you here find it challenging to hit quarterly sales quotas on a regular basis? Put up your hand if you believe management is the biggest factor in increasing employee productivity. Who here thinks they would have less stress in their lives if their spouses weren't insensitive jerks? These silly questions are ones where the audience are not going to answer for the most part, either because they don't know the answer, or two, they don't want to let other people in the audience know what that answer is. And the fact is, if you're a speaker asking the audience these kinds of questions in order to gather information, well, you're a little late to the game. You see, you should know this information before you even hit the stage. Now, a lot of speakers out there will use the word engagement as a reason for asking these questions. After all, every speaker wants audience engagement, and for the most part, audiences want to be engaged. My point is this: you don't have to ask silly or stupid questions to get audience engagement. Engagement can take many forms. As a speaker, you can make them laugh, you can make them cry, you can make them think. So my advice to anyone looking to ask some questions next time they're on stage is this: don't. There's nothing you can ask that's going to enlighten your audience. Nothing you can ask that's going to change your presentation or the mood of the room. Instead, focus on content that makes the audience really want to think about what you're saying, that makes them wonder about their situation, that makes them laugh and cry, maybe even get upset. It doesn't matter. If you can bring these kinds of emotions to the surface and then bring them back down and take your audience on a journey of all kinds of ups and downs and things that make them laugh and think and everything else, that is true engagement, and that's what they'll remember you for. So there's some advice for you I hope you can apply to your next presentation. And if you found this video useful, hey, raise your hand. See, gotcha. You didn't raise your hand because you knew it was a stupid or silly question. Smart.